Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of the Choir Boys Outdoors, a Rotten Design Evolution 3.0 folding knife, if you will. Here's the deal, guys. This is JR's favorite pocket knife, and I got to be honest with you, it's not only my favorite Wharncliffe blade, it's probably the best Wharncliffe I've ever reviewed. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Before we do, there was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives, and stats are all over the place. During the holidays, it's definitely higher. The number we focus on here is zero. Anything above zero, guys, is simply unacceptable. Vets, we love you. You have a place here. We back to Blue over here. We support Lou, all to the chagrin of many. I don't have the time to tell you how much it doesn't bother me. How do you do that, Scab? Well, we don't break the damn law. And when we do, because we accept responsibility. And finally, if you're an addict, never quit quitting. Okay, so here's the deal. For over a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, I don't know, it's been a minute. My brother from another mother, JR, has been sending me knives. Top quality, badass, just folders, fixed blades, whatever I want, JR sends. And I got to say at this point, guys, this year, 2022, we have grown over 27,000 subscribers, and JR is a huge part of that. This is the first knife JR has ever sent and said, please take care of this knife. Please take extra care of this knife. It's his favorite. That was like, oh shit, now I'm worried. But here's the deal. JR knows how we demonstrate knives. JR knows how we review knives. JR knows we're going to use knives. And brother, first and foremost, thank you for everything you do, not only for me, but the channel. Secondly, I agree. This has to be probably the best Wharncliffe I've ever reviewed. Here's why. Let's talk about why. Let me give you some stats first. Again, this is the Rotten Design Evolution 3.0 folding knife. It's in gray titanium. Blade length is 3.74 inches or 95 millimeters. Cutting edge, 3.62 inches or 92 millimeters. Closed length, 4.69 inches or 119 millimeters. Now, that closed length is obviously the handle. Here's the deal. The inner grip, the all-important inner grip, as we check the balance, is 4 inches. The overall length is 8.43 inches or 214 millimeters. Blade length, Bowler M390. I am a big fan of M390. This knife is a big reason that just reinforces that. The blade thickness is 0.197 inches or 5 millimeters. So it's not a thin blade. 5 millimeters is not thin, especially on a pocket knife. It's a drop point hollow ground with a two-tone blade finish. The handle material is gray titanium. The handle thickness is 0.55 inches or 14 millimeters. It's a frame lock. Now here's another stat on that handle width, not the thickness, but the width. The handle width at the palm, let's call it the pommel, the bottom of the knife, the handle width flares out to 1 3/8 inches. This thing, here's why I think it's the best. One, the handle is supremely comfortable. No hot spots whatsoever. The titanium is smooth. Everything's rounded, very comfortable in the hand. And that wide, let's just call it a pommel, right there where the pocket clip is wide, so you can grip it. It's got great grip. The second reason, it has a choil and jimping on the back. Two of my favorite things. I use a fencing grip just about every day with a knife. This knife is made for a fencing grip. Third, the tip. Now it's a Wharncliffe style blade, and I've got the blade here with me as we're doing the narration. It's kind of a modified clip. I know it's a Wharncliffe, but listen to what I'm saying. The tip has more of a modified clip point. Very, very stabby, and we're going to cover that. I did not get the blade width. Let me double check, make sure I didn't write it down. I did not. I will put it in the comments because the width of this blade, the blade width, makes it one of the best slicers. I love the shape. I love that it's a Wharncliffe, yes, but I love the belly. Now, right here, we're doing our zip tie test. My bad. Zip tie test had no problems. And for you, those of you that are new, This test does come into play like with an edge, especially with a hollow grind. We're not testing necessarily the sharpness there. Does it chip? Does it roll? Does it do anything? I cut zip ties a bunch every week, not just in testing, but at work. Here's some, those are airlines to a dead man trigger for sandblast hose. So that hollow grind, I use the zip tie test to see if it's going to crack, chip, do anything to the roll, the edge, anything like that. Not necessarily sharpness, although this thing is super sharp. It didn't do any. Now, going back to why I love the knife, and I'm going to try not to just hammer this home or be super redundant, but it's the knife in that fencing grip. And again, I'm holding the knife now. The jimping looks aggressive. It's not aggressive. It's comfortable in hand. That choil, to me, it's just perfect because I can get a good four finger grip on this knife with my pointer finger in the choil like it should be. I can get a good 4-finger grip and probably still got another 1/2 inch on the bottom of the knife. Now, when we're doing these videos, and again, if you're new here, we try to do basically the same shit each video. Each knife is different. Blade shape, blade style, handle width, handle thickness. Every knife is going to demonstrate differently. Why? Because it's a different knife. Part of the goal of this channel, the main goal of this channel, is functionality. Point blank, period. We don't do a lot of fit and finish and all that. That's not the point of the channel. The channel is to see how it works with my skill set, which I've said a million times, I'll say it a million more, is around a novice at best. But if I can use a knife, if I can make it work and work well, that speaks more for the knife than it does my skill set. This knife, to me, and I put in the title, my best Wharncliffe of 2022, and I think hands down it is. I just got into Wharncliffes really, really big this year. Been doing a lot more of them. I see the functionality of them. Matter of fact, I had somebody ask me today what I really thought of them, and the truth is, the more I use the Wharncliffe in work and industrial type settings and situations, the more I love it. Now, this is a Wharncliffe, but it's got a really, really stabby point. That's 2-ply, 2-inch airline. We cut it at work if we got to cut it with a Sawzall. That's why I like using it as a slicing medium, and it slices very well. My fingers were not near that blade. It looks a lot worse on camera, or maybe, I was just lucky. I don't know. No, my fingers are never close. Sometimes with the angles and shit, it looks like it is. Right there, I like doing that particular demonstration where we just take, that's a very, very hard rubber, 2-ply rubber, and pushing down, putting a little more pressure on that pivot. The thing is, with this knife, it doesn't have thumb studs. Those are stop pins, right? So really, it's got one way to open, and that's a little hole in the blade. But man, the action on this thing, I guess this would be 0.5 or 6. The action on this thing, it runs on bearings, I believe, unless JR swapped them out. It is bearings. But this is one of the smoothest opening and closing knives I've ever, Wharncliffe or not, this is one of the smoothest opening and closing folders I have ever put my hands on. Not just demonstrated, not just reviewed, none of that crap. Put my hands on. Now we're going to do 2 quick stabs, the John Peter stab test. This is a frame lock. It locks up very well. And again, no hot spots in the handle. I didn't want to go crazy with stabbing. I didn't want to do a lot of beating on the knife because this is JR's favorite knife. Now, I wanted to give you a good enough example of it being used, right? I wanted to show it being used, not just show the knife. That's not what we do. We're not really equipped to hit every angle and all that. We're going to work our way into that, but we will always do demonstrations. We'll always review knives this way. Why? 1, I enjoy it. 2, I'm working on building up my knife acumen. 3, there's enough channels that show knives. I love those channels. I'm a member to many of them, so that's not a shot. That's just a fact. Why would I want to do something that everybody else does? I want to provide something a little different. So my goal for year 2 of the channel was to do more knife reviews. We did that. The goal going into this year, year 3, and my years on the channel run June 23rd to June 23rd, my goal this year was to be challenged. JR has stepped up to the plate with a lot of different knives and really challenged, and the Wharncliffe has been a challenge. You know, I know it's not for all the damn experts out there, but I'm one of the few that's willing to admit, hey, you can learn something daily. I wanted to show you the tip there. Great penetration. We did the Donnie B all day drop test. Only did a couple, only needed to. But that thing sunk into that stump. Now, this is 2-inch ratchet strap. Again, guys, if you've watched the channel any length of time, you're going to have seen these particular, we don't call them tests, ain't shit we do. So we just take a knife and cut a bunch of shit. That's what we do, and then I tell you about the knife. That's how the channel runs. That's how it always runs. And here in a minute, I'll probably sling one of them sons of bitches there across the yard, because what I do is I'll cut the strap, I cut it too short, and do something like this, where I fiddle fart around with it. That's no indication on the knife, and then it'll go, there it goes, there we go, there's old scab, full effect. I did want to mention this. The other reason I like doing demonstrations like this is part of my channel, and part of the growth of the channel is improving my skill set. Every now and then you run into a knife, such as the Evo, that really plays to that strength. What do I mean? There are certain knives that are just easy. There are certain knives that are very, very easy to demonstrate, like this one, and you can see all the chips falling off of there. You can see it shave the shit out of that stick with very little effort. There's certain knives like this one. And again, this is the Evo 3.0, where there's no hot spots in the handles. You don't have to take funky angles. The jimping is not so aggressive that you're moving your finger. It's like, when I grabbed this knife, I pulled it out of the package because I knew this was JR's favorite knife. When I pulled the knife out, I thought, really? And I don't know what I was expecting. I'm just being honest here. I didn't know what I was expecting. I didn't know solid gold or something for JR's knife. I mean, with as many badass knives as the dude sent. And I thought, huh. And I'll be 100% honest, man. I was like, huh. But once you begin to use the knife, you begin to see the beauty of the Evo. You begin to see the ease of use of the Evo. The blade comes sharp. Here's the other side. Blade geometry is spot on. The fit and finish was spot on. Now, I don't know if he's carried this for a while, if JR's carried this for a while and then sent it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is factory edge. I'm not very sure. But I do know this. As soon as I put my hand in that fencing grip, as soon as I open and close, and you see me doing that in my folder videos, you will see me 4, 5 to 10, 20, 30 times opening and closing the knife one-handed. I think that's as much of an important part as anything. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick before we get too far gone, before we get too close, is the pocket clip. The pocket clip, it's not tight except at the bottom. And I know that sounds silly. I wear a lot of BDUs. I wear a lot of cargo style shorts, reinforced pockets, things like that. Pushes in easy. As you're pulling the knife out, it does grab. Not in a way that's aggressive or would tear the pant, but it's like a pinch grip, if that makes sense. That clip honestly pinches. So there is some pull getting it out. But at the same time, with a knife like this, you don't want the son of a bitch just flying all around. So is it a negative? I wouldn't say so. I'd say it gets a good bite. The other side is this, to this entire setup. The knife has some weight to it. Now, I don't see the weight on here. And again, I'll try to put a weight and I'll try to put a blade thickness in the comments. It's a heavier knife being titanium, but man, this thing feels awesome. Awesome in pocket. Now, guys, listen, minute left. Instead of doing shout outs, this is what I'm going to do. JR, man, thank you for everything you do for this channel. To all of you who've subscribed this year, man, thank y'all. This will be our probably one of our last videos for 2022. It's insane. And we're going to embark on 2023. It's my goal to bring you the best knives, the craziest knives, the most challenging knives that I can. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. Not like my wife, let's don't be stupid, but I love you. The thing I want you to remember more and more and more as the days go on, and this is very important. I'm Scab. You're not. This is the Rotten Designs Evo 3.0. And I'm gone, son. Love y'all.